three guys who are part of the supposed big four, the other three, none of them have a single argument. There's not one argument for any of them. Joe Burrow's argument is he was better in the regular season once ever, and his team missed the playoffs when Mahomes was 15-1, and was like that argument.
And that is what I want to talk about. The absolute disrespect that Joe Burrow gets. And then we get insane comments like this. I saw Burrow, and this is from a commenter, I saw Burrow have the best wide receiver duo with a terrible defense and missed the playoffs last year. I saw Mahomes with just Kelsey. Oh, I know, Kelsey's so bad. And no other elite wide receiver and a terrible defense, go on to win MVP and Super Bowl MVP that same season in 2022. Please do not get on here acting like these guys gave proven to be better than Pat in any situation. He's won with great weapons and a bad defense. He's won with a balanced passing attack with an average wide receiver room and a bad defense. And he's also won with bad offensive weapons and a great defense. He gets it done in every situation. Nick Wright is just wrong here to act like it's an insane idea that Joe Burrow could ever be considered than Patrick Mahomes. Because you can make that argument. You can absolutely make that argument. You could disagree with it. But to pretend like it is the most insane comment, like how dare anyone think that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes? Because that's what Nick is doing right here. Trying to act like it's an insane thing. And like that comment, that it's just like, are you kidding me? Like people are saying that it's Gardner Minshew or Kirk Cousins. No, people. No. We are about to get after this in such an in-depth way. I honestly can't wait. This is going to be a long one. You guys got to buckle up. I got graphics and charts and stats. We're going to do this in a way that you've never seen anywhere else before. And I'm not saying that lightly. I seriously can't wait to get after this. I really can't. Kansas City Chiefs fans are going to be pretty angry. Patrick Mahomes fans, they're going to be even angrier. So let's get this out of the way, since some of y'all might get so upset, so angry, like Nick Wright is here, is it because it's how dare anyone even remotely insinuate, imply, infer, incline to say that Joe Burrow is maybe better than Patrick Mahomes. Let me get this out of the way from the top. Patrick Mahomes is amazing. He is an awesome quarterback. He is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He is special. He is gifted. He is elite. I am so excited to be able to watch him play and be of an age where I can actually understand what I'm seeing and not be like 8 years old and not really know what the heck I'm seeing, or 75 years old and I'm like, half paying attention because I keep falling asleep and farting every 5 seconds. So it's great. He's great. But he is not as unstoppable as this mythological being as people keep trying to pretend he is. That is the reality. And we are going to break it down right here, because I am going to show you that Joe Burrow in 2024 was better than Patrick Mahomes in 2022 on many levels. Yes, Joe Burrow, who did not even make the playoffs in 2024, was better than Patrick Mahomes, who won the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP and the regular season MVP in 2022. And we are going to get after it. I really can't wait. So first, we got to get out of the way the more generic, easy stuff, because we just got to cover our bases, okay? Joe Burrow had more completions, more touchdowns, and less interceptions. 460 completions to 435. Now, again, to be very clear, this is Joe Burrow 2024 and Patrick Mahomes in 2022, okay? Because this gentleman right here trying to make it sound like Patrick Mahomes just did everything, that these were equal situations here, and just Patrick Mahomes dominated, was amazing, and Joe Burrow just was not good enough. A higher PFF grade, 94 to 91.1. So completions 460 to 435, Joe Burrow. Completion percentage, 70.6% completion percentage to 67.1 goes to Joe Burrow. Touchdowns, 43 to 41. Interceptions, 9 to 12, Burrow. A passer rating of 108.5 to 105.2. A PFF grade of 94.0 to 91.1. On target percentage, 80%, 77.1%. 38 big time throws to 33. Now we got that covered away. Off of the more elementary, more traditional old stats that everyone knows, that they're always listed on box scores and whatnot, Joe Burrow was better in every single category. And again, remember, this is Patrick Mahomes in 22. Not Patrick Mahomes in 23, 24. Well, they were dropping balls, blah, blah. This is 22. This is 22. Yak analysis. Oh, you guys know. I love this one. This one is so good right now. So good. Burrow had 2,192 yards after catch from his receivers. 44% of his passing yards. Patrick Mahomes had a whopping 2,853. 54%. 54% of his passing yards came yards after catch. A 661 difference. More yak for Mahomes. 10% more of his passing yards. If Burrow had Mahomes' yak, he would have thrown for 5,762 yards. If Mahomes had Burrow's yak, he would have had 4,481 yards. You see the difference here? If he would have had less than Burrow's actual yards. But with Mahomes' yak, Joe Burrow would have broke Peyton Manning's record. That's the difference. He would have broken the NFL record by 285 yards and would have been the greatest single season passing performance in NFL history. Do you understand how insane that is? His yak per completion was 4.8. Mahomes was 6.6. And do not tell me it has anything to do with the fact that Patrick Mahomes can throw guys open or whatnot. I've already debunked that nonsense. And we're going to get to the weapons. Don't you worry. Because do you know who led the NFL in yak in 2022? Do you know who it was? Anyone? Any guesses? Any guesses? Travis Kelce. Do you know who was top 10 in yak? Any guesses? Juju Smith-Schuster. Not too bad, huh? Not too bad for a bad group of weapons. It's weird. What about this O-line? Offensive line protection. The Chiefs in 2022 had an O-line of 75%. The number one O-line, a pass block win rate of 75%. 75%. Joe Burrow, his pass block win rate was 50%. They were ranked last. They were ranked 32nd in offensive line. He was pressured on literally half of all dropbacks. Worst protection in the NFL. Whereas in 2022, with those bad weapons, apparently, and a bad defense, which we're going to attack too, was ranked first. Was the best in the NFL. Which is so funny because Chiefs fans complained about their O-line last season, this past season. Said, well, we don't have a good O-line. What do you want us to do? They're at 67%. 17% higher than what Joe Burrow had to deal with in 2024. Weird. It's weird. Could you imagine if Patrick Mahomes had that O-line? And it's so funny too because they praised the Eagles for having the world's greatest O-line. Of course Jalen Hurts won. He has got the best O-line ever. His O-line was 67%. And in 2022, Patrick Mahomes had a 75%. Tell me how that makes sense. So when we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts' O-line gets all the praise. But when Patrick Mahomes has a even better O-line by a wide margin, nothing to do with it. Whispers. Not even whispers. It's just crickets. Bizarre. Chiefs fans complain about a 67% passing block win rate in the Super Bowl, calling it terrible protection. Yet Burrow deals with 50% of protection for an entire season, 17% worse than what the Chiefs fans consider unacceptable. Despite worse protection, the NFL, Burrow still outperforms Mahomes in virtually every efficiency metric. Imagine what he could do with actual protection. I know. What about team rushing support? You know, the Chiefs they had no receivers, no O-line, terrible defense. The Bengals in 24, 92 yards per game. Kansas City Chiefs, 116. That is a wide margin in the NFL. Wide margin. The Bengals had 11 rushing touchdowns. Kansas City Chiefs, 18. The success rate, the Bengals were 48.9. So this leads to shorter second downs and third downs and conversions. That's what the success rate means. 48.9% to 53.7%. Which then allows defenses to tee off on the pass rush, limit play action. Whereas the Chiefs in 22 were able to keep the defenses more honest. Take red zone pressures off of Patrick Mahomes, being able to hand the ball off, get 18 rushing touchdowns. Much more, but again, with a 53.7% success rate, way more manageable third down distances. A 26% better in rushing yards per game, and scores 64% more touchdowns. While Burrow has to carry the entire offensive burden with a weak, one-dimensional attack combined with the worst O-line. But this defense, let's talk about this terrible defense, because both teams had terrible defenses. Interesting. Very interesting. Chiefs were top 5. They were top 5. That's weird. They had a top 5 PFF defensive ranking. What did the Bengals have this past year? Bottom 10. They allowed 3.8. The Chiefs allowed 3.8 fewer points allowed per game, which is huge. Once you get up to 3, that's massive. A field goal difference means everything. Everything. That's why those points for betting are tremendous. 3 points is everything. Everything. The Bengals gave up 25.5 points per game. The Chiefs, 21.7. Bottom 10 to top 5. The pass rush was bottom 7. Pass rushes are pretty important, wouldn't you say? The Kansas City Chiefs were top 10. They led the NFL in sacks. Don't take my word for it. This is Nick Wright in 2023 talking about the playoffs, going into talking about against the Miami Dolphins. Listen to what he says about this defense that apparently is awful. It's interesting. Let's see what he has to say.
I just don't think they're going to be able to get the pressure. Right. And the Chiefs, for the second straight year, have been one of the most effective teams in the league at sacking the opposing quarterbacks and getting pressure.
There's really...
For the second year in a row, they've been one of the most effective defenses at getting to the quarterback. That's not bad. That's not bad. And I'm so sorry, I slightly misspoke. They were number 1 in pressure generated at 178. They were only second in sacks. So yeah, that's not too bad. Burrow needs 26 plus points to have a chance to win. Bottom 10 can't get stops when needed. Bottom 7 pass rush, no pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Chiefs defense, Mahomes safety net. Mahomes only needed 22 plus points to usually win. gets crucial stops in big moments, top 5, top 10 pass rush, as I just explained, top 1 pass rush, forces opposing quarterbacks into mistakes. Here's where it also continues to get interesting with big game performances. Both the Kansas City Chiefs in 22 and the Cincinnati Bengals, they both scored 30-plus points 8 times. 8 times. The Kansas City Chiefs went 8-0. The Cincinnati Bengals went 4-4. The opponent scored 38. Commanders. The Ravens scored 41. The Ravens scored 35. The Steelers scored 44, lost by 1, lost by 3, lost by 1, lost by 6. You think those things matter? It's all blame Joe Burrow for hanging 37, 38, 34, 38. So weird. So weird. The Bengals had 6 games where they allowed 30-plus points. 6 games. The Kansas City Chiefs, only 1. Notice how those losses, how many points they gave up. They lost despite scoring 34, 37, and 38 twice. Defense gave up 30-plus points in 6 games. Kicker missed 4-plus crucial kicks in 1-score losses. Do you think that matters? Do you think any of that matters? Now let's just get to this roster. Because this roster was just, Patrick Mahomes. Just had a bunch of, high school kids out there, I guess. Interesting. The Bengals had 2 Pro Bowlers and 2 All-Pros. The Kansas City Chiefs had 6 Pro Bowlers and 5 All-Pros. And this is subtracting Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. So this is just their teammates. The Chiefs had 3 times more Pro Bowlers and 2.5 times more of All-Pros. They had Travis Kelce, who had his best year that season. He was top 2 in touchdowns among all receivers and tight ends. He was number 1 in yak among all receivers and tight ends. He was the number 1 tight end in every major category. And his PFF grade was 91.1, second best in the NFL, only to Tyreek Hill. Only to Tyreek Hill. And now let's get to Juju. Because we want to pretend like Juju is just scrub. I am not pretending like Juju is this unbelievably amazing wide receiver. I am not telling you that this guy is going to be in the Hall of Fame. But he was the youngest player ever in NFL history to score 5 touchdowns before 21 years old. He was the youngest player ever to record 150 yards in a single game. He was the youngest player ever to reach 1,500 yards. He was the youngest rookie to ever record a touchdown. As a rookie, he was top 10 in touchdowns with 7, 15.8 yards per catch, and 917 yards as a rookie. Then in 2018, he had 1,426 yards, which was top 5 in the NFL and was a Pro Bowler. Then in 2019, Big Ben was injured, and he had Mason Rudolph, and Juju only played 12 games. Then in 2020, with Ben Roethlisberger, who was the 25th ranked quarterback, Juju still nearly put up 1,000 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns, which was top 10 in the NFL in touchdowns. And in the playoffs, he put up 157 yards, 13 receptions, and a touchdown. In 2021, he was then injured. He only played 5 games. Then in 2022, Andy Reid scooped him up, and he played great with the Kansas City Chiefs, was top 10 in yards after a catch among receivers, and was number 1 in reception percentage. He was number 1. He had 78 receptions on 97 targets. He was number 1. He caught the most balls per pass attempts, per targets. Had a higher reception percentage than Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce, Justin Jefferson. And had a high yards per reception of 12. But sure, let's just act like he was just nothing. I mean, you talk about the Philadelphia Eagles having A.J. Brown and Devontae. Devontae had 1,196 yards. Juju had 933. Guess what Joe Burrow had with T. Higgins? T. Higgins missed 5 games in 2024, a third of the season, and he only had 900 receiving yards. Do you think that matters? Do you think that matters? They essentially, at the end of the day, got similar production out of those receivers. And again, Jamar Chase is awesome. Jamar Chase is awesome. Not disputing that. But they had a better rushing attack, a better defense, great weapons, but we want to keep pretending like they just didn't exist. Makes sense. Just getting, greater than 50% yards after catch. Unbelievable. Mahomes has no hope. 3 times, no help. 3 times more Pro Bowlers. Hall of Fame tight end. Pro Bowler caliber wide receiver. The availability was healthier. Joe Burrow's number 2 wide receiver, missing 5 games. And let's not even act like the coaching is even remotely close. Andy Reid's career win rate without Patrick Mahomes is 59.9%. He's up there, Andy Reid, without Patrick Mahomes. At the rate that he was going, if he never got Patrick Mahomes, if he continued to coach for as many seasons as he did, he would still be exactly where he's at in all-time career wins. He would still be on pace for within the next season or two to have the most wins of all time for head coaches and one of the highest win rates. That's who Andy Reid is. That's who Andy Reid is. Taylor, without Burrow, is 26.7% winning percentage. Weird. It's so hilarious that people want to downplay what Andy Reid can do. I mean, it's actually kind of mind-blowing. It really is. And this should be appearances, Super Bowl appearances. I just don't get it. I mean, even if you just stop, even if Andy Reid's career just stopped before he got Patrick Mahomes, he would still be top in wins and win percentage. I mean, like, that's what's so wild. But if he continued to coach and just had even just Alex Smith as his quarterback, he would still be on pace within the next couple of seasons to literally be the number 1 most winningest coach in NFL history. And yet Patrick Mahomes' ultra fanboys want to somehow act like Andy Reid doesn't do anything to benefit Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's just one of the most insane takes from Mahomes fans. That's just mind-blowing. And the comeback is always, how many Super Bowls did he win before? And then it's like, right. Because he was supposed to be Tom Brady with Donovan McNabb. Like, okay, that makes sense. He was supposed to beat Tom Brady with Alex Smith. Like, okay, that makes sense. He was supposed to win Super Bowls, against Kurt Warner. It was supposed to be Kurt Warner with Michael Vick after being locked up. I mean, like, it's just crazy. I mean, it really is. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. Donovan McNabb threw like 4 interceptions in that Super Bowl, I think it was. And you got McNabb throwing interceptions and throwing up in huddles, and I guess Andy Reid's supposed to somehow overcome that, going also in the heart of a defensive era against Tom Brady, which is funny because Patrick Mahomes can't beat Tom Brady, but I guess Andy Reid was supposed to somehow I mean, Patrick Mahomes is so great, but yeah, he couldn't beat Tom Brady, and I guess Andy Reid was supposed to somehow beat Tom Brady without the great Patrick Mahomes. Do you see how that doesn't really actually make sense? Do you see? So it's just so obvious. Higher completion percentage, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, better passer rating, higher PFF grade, more accurate, more big-time throws. Patrick Mahomes had the number 1 O-line compared to Burrow, who had the 32nd O-line. 75% to 50%. Top 5 defense, to bottom 10 defense, number 2 in sacks, number 1 in pressures generated. 24 rushing, plus 24 plus rushing yards per game, and plus another 7 touchdowns. 3 more Pro Bowlers. 2.5 more All-Pro. We're going to pretend like Travis Kelce isn't one of the greatest tight ends of all time. And we're just going to say, well, all he did was Kelce. Okay. It's just crazy. I mean, that Bengals defense gave up 30 points 6 times. The Kansas City Chiefs gave up 30 points once. Once. You want to act like they both had bad defenses. To me, the yak is the most craziest thing. If Burrow had Mahomes' yak rate, he would have had an NFL record of 5,762 yards, shattering Peyton Manning's record. But if Mahomes had Burrow's yak, it would just be 4,481 yards, which was less than what Joe Burrow did. And even when you just compare the 2 years head to head, 22 and 24, I mean, this yak advantage, 2,853, 54% of his passing yards came from yak. Joe Burrow, 44%, 2,192. That's real. That's real. That's Andy Reid. That's Travis Kelce. Those things matter. So yeah, this is why we can't just go by the ultimate outcomes. We just can't. And it's why comments like this don't really make as much sense as people want to pretend like they do. And this is why we have to stop just making stuff up. Acting like Patrick Mahomes just had a ragtag group of guys in 22, bad defense. Like it's just not true. It's not even remotely true. And this is where, again, Kansas City Chiefs fans want to have it both ways. They complain that their O-line wasn't good enough in 2024. And yet that O-line was significantly better than Joe Burrow had in 2024. Significantly. And in 2022, their O-line was significantly better than what the Philadelphia Eagles had in 2024. And yet they said, look at that O-line. Look how amazing it is. Of course they won. You can't have it both ways. You have to admit, Patrick Mahomes had a great O-line in 2024. In 2022. Patrick Mahomes' defense was not trash, especially compared to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Philadelphia Eagles defense, that was considered great in 2022, gave up one less point than that Kansas City Chiefs defense in 22. And as I already showed you, all the pressure generated and whatnot. And sacks. You think that matters? I mean, that's what the metrics show us these days now. That when a quarterback takes a sack, their chances of scoring on a drive, I mean, it just plummets. It's what Mike Vrabel is all about these days, is not taking sacks. And we know pressure. That's why. Why do you think the guys that can hit the quarterback get paid these days an insane amount of money? Because it's really valuable to get to the quarterback, to just pressure the quarterback. Why do you think people talk about how important it is for the O-line? And so the Chiefs had the most important aspect on defense. They had that part of the defense as good as it can get, second to only the Philadelphia Eagles. And yet their O-line, obviously in that Super Bowl, was so great. No sacks given, or whatever the shirts the Kansas City Chiefs O-line was wearing. Didn't work out too well in 2024, but it worked out in 22, that's for sure. Y'all can't have it both ways. The difference between Joe Burrow winning an MVP, winning a Super Bowl, getting into the playoffs was not just him needing to play better. And the difference between the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes winning the Super Bowl, winning the MVP, winning the Super Bowl MVP, it was not just because Patrick Mahomes was that much better. It's just not. And I gave you a very deep, in-depth analysis. It's all here, man. I mean, this is just the cold data right there. Just the reality. Joe Burrow's team and the Cincinnati Bengals consistently fail him. Consistently. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs consistently support Patrick Mahomes. They don't carry Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs fans and Mahomes fans can stop making stuff up that I'm saying. They're not carrying Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a massive contributor to the Kansas City Chiefs' success. He is a massive contributor to their success. He is deserving of accolades and Super Bowls and MVPs. But he is in an awesome situation because the Chiefs fans also can't have it both ways and say, well, we're the best team in the NFL and we have the best GM and the best coach and the best this and the best that. But when it's time to talk about Patrick Mahomes, we're like, nah, the defense isn't that good. The weapons aren't that good. Coaching's not that good. It's like, well, so then why do you yell at me when I tell you that you don't have the best team in the NFL? It's only because Patrick Mahomes is just 95% of the team. Then why didn't he win against the Philadelphia Eagles in 24? Why didn't he win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because of the O-line and the defense and the boundary. Okay. So if he doesn't get any blame in those losses, then why does he get all the credit for the wins? This is why I love sports talk, because sometimes things are barren, or sometimes things are binary, sometimes they're not. Sometimes multiple things can be true. Sometimes only one of them can be true. It's awesome. It's logic. It is. It's great. Sometimes it's, if this is true, then this must be true. And if that must be true, then this must be true. And a lot of people get tripped up. A lot of people get tripped up. Because I just made a whole video talking about Jalen Hurts' success and comparing it to Joe Burrow's success. And criticizing Joe Burrow, and not criticizing, that's too strong of a word, be like, you didn't play good enough in that Super Bowl. You know, you didn't play, you know, you could have done maybe more. Jalen Hurts dealt with the pressure more in that regard. And your defense was played good enough. You didn't do enough to elevate. But at the same time, the Cincinnati Bengals don't reliably support Joe Burrow, where he now gets to play in enough Super Bowls to get the job done. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs constantly keep putting them in an environment, putting Patrick Mahomes in an environment where he can succeed. They regularly put him in positions to succeed. That really ultimately ends up becoming the fundamental difference. And it's fascinating to break down, because you can get tripped up. There can be contradictions. There can be things that you kind of have to wrestle with. And it all depends on what conversation you're having at any given moment. Josh Allen versus Lamar, Lamar versus Mahomes, Burrow versus Hurts. It's like, it gets tricky. It absolutely gets tricky. And so, like I said, sometimes multiple things can be correct. And sometimes it's like, we kind of have to pick and choose right now. And it gets messy. I can totally admit that. It absolutely gets messy, and it's hard to keep track of. It really is. And we wouldn't need to have these conversations if people didn't make comments like that. And that's why people say, well, you're trying to bring down Patrick Mahomes. It's like, no, I'm not. I was originally going to read these comments, but I talked to the people who left them, and I was like, we don't need to. But they're like, oh, so Patrick Mahomes' rings count less? And it's like, I never said that. I never said that. But like, I just did this clip with the herd with Colin, and I was like, we don't have to downplay what like a Jalen Hurts did, and we can still elevate what a Joe Burrow did. And we don't have to pretend like Joe Burrow just hasn't been good enough, and that's why he can't win or make the playoffs. And the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs keep winning is just all because of Patrick Mahomes. It's just not true. It's just not true. And they want to live in this fantasy world where Patrick Mahomes comes up clutch every single time. And yet, Warren Sharp's analysis, the most clutch quarterbacks when you got to have it, trailing in the last 5 minutes since 2020. Joe Burrow's number 1. Josh Allen, number 2. Lamar Jackson, number 3. Tom Brady, number 4. Patrick Mahomes, number 5. Awkward. I mean, these are the analytics, man. And this is not off of like a short little window. This is since 2020. Since 2020. Patrick Mahomes is ranked 5th. He's under Tom Brady, who hasn't played in years. Lamar Jackson, the choke king. Josh Allen, he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes. No, you're right, he's better. And Joe Burrow, number 1. People want to be like, well, he didn't play good enough against, the New England Patriots. It's like, okay, sure. Whatever you say. Let's just have an a la carte, whatever we want to do here. We'll pick a game here, a quarter there, a drive there, because Patrick Mahomes just plays perfect drive after drive after drive after drive. Like this past year, he didn't win games throwing 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and a 54 passer rating. Like he didn't win games playing that bad. Oh, wait, never mind. He did. Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in 2022 against the Broncos, 86.6 passer rating, won the game. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 80.9 passer rating, won the game. Against the Rams, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 85.4 passer rating, won the game. Seems like he's been able to get away winning some bad games. Also in 2022, the Chiefs got to play the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos. The Raiders and the Broncos. 6 wins, 5 wins. Whereas the Bengals had to go up against the Steelers and the Ravens. Think that matters? I think it matters. They had to go up against 2 teams. 2 great teams. The only easy team that they got to feed off of were the Browns, understandably so. Whereas Mahomes got to feast off of the Broncos and the Raiders and a Chargers team that was like trying to figure this out. Losing Shane Steichen, having a terrible head coach, a fired head coach. But I know those are all just minor details. So no matter how you want to slice it, Joe Burrow had a better year in 2024. He played better than Patrick Mahomes did in 2022. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Joe Burrow balling, and being better than Patrick Mahomes in 22, his crowning achievement of winning that Super Bowl after Tyreek Hill left? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.